Welcome to Just Energy Radio with your host, naturopath and medical intuitive, Dr. Rita Louise. We have learned from Einstein's theory that matter and energy are one. Physicists believe that all systems in nature have their own particular way of vibrating. From the swinging of a pendulum to the waves of the ocean to the light that brightens the sky each day, each of these oscillates at its own unique rate. The same holds true for every thought, feeling, event, or word we speak. Each has its own frequency or rate of vibration. What many of us don't realize is when we take everything in our universe down to its simplest form, it is all just energy. Join Dr. Rita Louise on a journey through time and space where past, present, and future collide. Today, what you believe may be called into question. What we want to know is, who made up the rules? Be brave and step outside the box. We are about to turn our world upside down and venture into the unknown. Hold on. We are departing our own beliefs and entering alternative realms. Enjoy the possibilities.
Hello and welcome to Just Energy Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show tonight. So if you came to listen to the show because we were going to have Scott Wolter on from America Under Earth, I totally lied to you. Scott ended up having a filming commitment that he couldn't get out of. And so he actually is being rescheduled and will be appearing on Epic Voyages Radio, of course, with me interviewing him on Monday, March 31st. That's Monday, March 31st. So if you tuned in to listen to Scott, please do listen to Epic Voyages that night. And so, he's not totally gone. He's just slightly postponed. But to fill in for him, I have John Shaughnessy. And I just was introduced to John very recently, but I do not think you will be disappointed with tonight's presentation and the show. So if you came listening to Scott, hang around because you just might learn something extra cool and interesting. But as always, Just Energy Radio is brought to you by soulhealer.com, where you can find out about all the products and services I offer, including medical intuition evaluations, energy healing, and psychic readings. So if there's stuff going on in your life and you need some help and guidance, give me a call, drop me an email, and we will get your life back on track. It's also brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, which has gotten a new face. So please do stop by and check out the new look and feel, the new redesigned training program. We'd love to have you come by. If you've missed a show, go to the Just Energy Radio archives, www.justenergyradio.com. Go to our YouTube channel, Just Energy Radio on YouTube, or come here to the Inception Radio Network and listen to the shows you've missed. A couple of announcements for things coming up. On March 21st in Glen Rose, Texas, it'll be Weird Fest, Texas. It's going to be weird. I'll be there. A lot of friends of Just Energy Radio. Nick Redfern, our good friend, Ken, you're going to kick my butt. I can't remember. Ken Gearhart. Oh, man. And Lyle Blackburn will all be there, my little crypto buddies, because they told me I could be a crypt. Isn't that cool? It's going to be a very fun event. April 12th, History Haunt and Legends Conference in spooky Jefferson, Texas. April 13th, I will be in Pensacola, Florida doing a presentation. And then April 26th at the Tyler Paranormal Conference. All of these events are listed on the Soul Healer page, the Just Energy Radio page, the Applied Energetic. It's everywhere, that I touch, it's there. A new event that I will be at, and actually our guest today will be speaking at, which I just found out like moments before. Ancient Mysteries International is hosting the Golden Age, Past and Future, and that is going to be August 16th in Collinsville, Illinois. Okay, enough announcements. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest and get him on, because I think what he's got to say is pretty interesting. John Shaughnessy, author, inventor, and lifelong independent researcher on lost ancient technology, who recently discovered that all large pyramids are in alignment with volcanoes for the purpose of geoengineering, one of the largest still active being Giza and the Hawaii hotspot, Thus, a new theory emerges on how gravity works between mass above the ellipsoid, and please forgive me for totally trashing this, expressed as capital A MC with this up pointing caret thing, 2/dB equals S. I have absolutely no idea what that means, but I said it. Described in his new book, Pyramid Gravity Force. And so please welcome to Just Energy Radio, the author of Pyramid Gravity Force, John Shaughnessy. Hi, John. How are you?
Good, Dr. Rita. Thanks for having me on your show. Very excited.
Thanks for coming on. All right, but I have to start here. What is that AMC thingy-madobber I
had to come up with an equation to explain the gravitational force and fields on what did you call mass above the ellipsoid, a pyramid, basically a geometrically shaped mass, and basically it's a formula that I came up with that measures the density of the gravitational wave on pyramids, mountains, volcanoes, and such.
All right. And I'm sure we're going to get.
Go ahead.
I'm sure we're going to get more into this, but I'm just going to let you know up front. I'm I'm pretty smart. People think that I'm pretty smart, but I am a physics retard. So I'm just putting it out there. It's like.
Well, I didn't do well in physics either, so.
Oh, so you just
There you go. I just ad-libbed, I just try to, do the best I can with what I knew. The formula is A is for the angle of the pyramid. It's more like an index. The steeper the pitch of the angle of the mass or a pyramid or a mountain, the higher the multiple of the formula is going to be. So if it was at 0, just flat ground, it would basically be a neutral gravitational density field in that area, or the same as say the gravitational field on the ocean or flat ground, like I just said. So it's angle, and then it's the mass of the pyramid, and it's the times the speed of light. That is that little arrow pointing up. Another pyramid, if you will, is just a square symbol. And then it's divided by distance times the gravitational constant, which is an unknown unless you're doing field measurements. And that after that equation, you get the equals S, which is units of S. So that's
I'll take your word for it.
That's how I mathematically express the formula. That's how the gravitational or the gravity is mathematically expressed on mass above the ellipsoid. I'll just stick with pyramids. Pyramids
okay.
Are pretty simple.
And I can wrap my mind around that concept. So, John, How did you get interested in studying pyramids and gravity and that stuff in the first place?
It probably around. I don't know. I used to read a lot of books. I think Eric von Däniken got me going on the Chariots of the Gods, and from there, I've been just reading about the ancient mysteries out there, and they're scattered to the four corners of the earth. And I got into Einstein's theory of relativity in my 20s. I read it, but it was like I might have had a concept of it for maybe a day, and then you wake up and it just flashes into thin air. But so I kind of got into gravity in the 80s, and I've always been fascinated by the gravitational fields. I think the graviton is the God particle myself, and everything. Gravity's the first thing, and everything follows. Without gravity, you don't really have anything out in the universe. So that's where it started, and then it ended up on a pyramid.
Like a bad hairdo. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, and I don't mean to be tacky or be disrespectful, But I mean, are you a scientist by trade? I mean, people just don't get into physics and Einstein's theory of relativity unless they have some kind of a scientific-y kind of background.
No, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. Just self-taught. I basically jump head over heels into things that interest me, and I'll read the documents, I'll read the papers, I'll ask the questions, and elevate my intelligence like a lot of people do. It's not the destination; it's the journey. You just keep on learning. That's every day's a learning adventure. So, no letters after my name.
Well, you don't have to have letters after your name, but, going into studying physics and, relativity and coming up with equations, not an area personally that I would ever go into. Pyramids maybe. Yeah, but anyway, no, I was just curious because, our little conversation on the phone yesterday, I was just very impressed with the little bit that I heard about your theory, which was like, I'm pretty excited about having you on the show and sharing, your information with the listeners. So, I was just curious.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just putting it out there. So.
Okay, so many authors and researchers have come forward with the speculations regarding the function of the Great Pyramid. We'll just use that as an example. From a burial chamber to a microwave emitter, all kinds of things. I do this show. I've heard all kinds of things. Based on your research, what do you think the pyramids were built for?
Ultimately, geoengineering. That was their main purpose. It still is the main purpose. My theory covers all the large pyramids on the planet. It's not just Giza. It's the ones in Central South America and all the other places that have these large masses in China. You get my Boston accent there. So it's basically a function of geoengineering, and it's getting right down to it. It was designed to control the magma flows in the earth and balance out the gravity waves inside the planet and outside the planet, and it also, like, if you can control the magma streams inside the planet, you can basically control the magnetic field location of the planet also. If you use gravity, like the pyramids are gravity machines, and that's why there's for every large pyramid there is a volcano located 180 degrees opposed to it on the same latitude. Like every volcano, every large pyramid on the planet has a sister volcano, if you will. So it's more or less there's a bit of volcanism in there. There's a bit of plate tectonics. There's magnetic field control, and just a venting, if you will, through the one that's online right now. A lot of them, although they're not spewing magma out there, still tied in through their gravitational fields. And what strokes this whole engine? Like, you have these masses of a volcano in 180 degrees.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Why don't let's take a step back, because I think you're getting way ahead of all the listeners. I know you're getting ahead of me. So let's take a big step back.
All right. Okay.
Okay. I mean, because you threw out a word, geoengineering. Mm-hmm. What the heck is that?
Well, it's geoengineering. It's probably a hot topic right now, and the climate change buzzword out there in the world today, and that's geoengineering is a science on a global or on a planet size. It takes into consideration and controls of planetary activity. Like, you can alter different things on the planet with geoengineering. there's been a lot of talk of, say, planes spraying chemicals into the air to control the warming of the planet. Subatomic, small particles, what they call them, nanoparticles, in a plane, and reflect the sunlight out into space. That would be considered geoengineering. There's been, I think, a study done where they dropped iron dust into the ocean to try and absorb the CO2. So that's another form of geoengineering. It's basically engineering on a planetary scale. That's
Okay. Well, then let me ask the next logical question. I mean, because there are many people that believe that the pyramids, I mean, if you're making a relationship between the pyramids and geoengineering, let's start here. How old do you think the pyramids actually are? I mean, the common conventions say that the pyramids in Egypt, which, up until recently were identified as being the oldest, but, we'll just kind of stay with the party thought here for right now. If that was the date, then this is a relatively new technology, which it doesn't seem like the Egyptians necessarily would understand. So do you think the pyramids are the 2500 BC, or that they're older than that?
Much older. Way older. And the pyramids get rebuilt over time. So I'm going back, say, the last 4 ice ages, maybe 500,000 years, because that seems to be like a pretty tight schedule looking back at the timeline, if you will, of temperatures on planet Earth. And the pyramid technology is very tied into the temperature, if you will, on the planet. So 500,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't really have an issue with that, because my own theories about civilization on the planet goes back really far too. Okay, so you're talking 500,000 years. So let's just start there. Why? Okay, so you're saying that we were in an ice age, or that we were in the ice age, and so your belief is that the inhabitants of the Earth at that point in time built these pyramids to what?
Well, it's been accepted that volcanoes are the Earth's thermostat by the scientific community, and certain volcanoes in certain parts of the world eject ash that have aerosol and sulfur particles in there, and when they get into the upper atmosphere, they do cool the planet down. And when things get too hot, you do have increased volcanic activity. So, that's where the pyramids come in. They tie into volcanoes. You can actually make a volcano wherever you want, as long as you have some land 180 degrees from it, and build a nice big pyramid. So that's, I think that answers that question.
Okay. We have a question in the chat room, but I want to ask a follow-up. So I guess I'm getting a little confused because, you're kind of talking about a little bit of a foreign topic to me, because it's that engineering. Well, it's not the engineering, it's the physics part. Do we want the volcanoes to go off so that they put the stuff into the air to cool it off, or do we not want the volcanoes to happen?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. If the planet's allowed to heat up, you'll have tectonic plate movements, and you'll inevitably have volcanic activity. Could even have super calderas erupting and plunge us into a very deep ice age. So I think it would be nice to have a controlled volcanic eruption and strategic places to allow the ash and aerosol to go up into the upper atmosphere and cool the planet down, rather than having an out of control volcanic eruption from, say, like Yellowstone's super caldera. There's a few super calderas around the planet. There's one down in South America, I believe, also. But there's no way out, really. As far as having a planet this design continue to heat up. So that's basically your automatic thermostatic control system that the ancient geoengineers set up. Our ancestors.
Well, do you think it was our ancestors, or do you think it was somebody else?
Oh, I think it's the our ancestors, one form or another. A DNA might be slightly off a little bit, or it could be the same. I mean, we have the same intelligence to do what I'm talking about, to control things once we understand it. Mm-hmm. Seems like gravity is a very elusive topic. A lot of the great minds out there, when they get into gravity, Einstein and a lot of the other brilliant scientists that have put time into gravity and going back to Newton, Galileo, they kind of get lost in space. Like they go off into the universe and they do their work and they come back with great work. Don't get me wrong, but they've missed a few. They didn't actually miss anything. They just never really studied what was happening on the planet enough. I think they missed a couple of big signs anyways.
Okay, so this was the question from Analog Hole from the chat room. If the pyramids were used for geoengineering, wouldn't there be remnants of the mechanics that allow the geoengineering to function, or is it simply an artifact of the pyramid placement?
Well, the functionality is still in operation. There's still pyramids, geometrical shape, mass pyramids are still condensing the gravity wave today, every second of every day, and they are involved in the circulation of magma in the mantle in the planet. So the one that's active right now is Geyser in the Hawaiian hotspot. So that's an active remnant that's still in service, using gravitational field manipulation to open up the Hawaiian hotspot. Which, by the way, there's really no that's it. That's why it's half theory out there. There's like 3 or 4 theories. There's probably upwards of 100 theories as to why the Hawaiian hotspot even exists. So that is up until now, until my theory, where I'm putting the pyramids. I'm plugging the pyramid gravity force into the equation. So.
What about Iceland? I mean, because they have that volcano there that's been kind of sputtering lately. I mean, is there a pyramid? Did you go to look to see if there was a pyramid 180 degrees from that?
Yeah, it's kind of a it's like the science is every pyramid has a volcano, but not every volcano has a pyramid. But like I say, mountain ranges match mountain ranges. They're opposed to each other on the same alignment that I've talked about, 180 degrees away on the same latitude or approximate latitude. There's a mountain range that matches up with the mountain range. So that's how you get a balanced planet. The gravity wave ends up balancing the planet. You don't have a big chunk of landmass hanging off the side of the planet and nothing, no landmass on the other side. So it acts as a balancing mechanism.
That just makes that visual is great. So is that kind of like, okay, and just excuse my very simplistic example, you go to take your car in to Okay, not that I would ever do this, but sometimes you kind of drive your car and your tire hits the curb and then you bend your rim and you have to go to the car place and they put the little metal things on the edge of your rim so that you spin balanced. I mean, are you kind of talking about something like that?
Exactly. It's but it's not balance. It's gravity. There is a balancing mechanism in there. It does grow mass. So if there's mass over here, it does grow mass on the other side. And it does act as a balance, and the centripetal force is involved, and it does take the wobble out of the planet or the vibration. So yes, I guess the answer to your question is yes. You go and get your tire fixed. The problem, the big problem with the tire is if it's out of balance, you can drive at 100,000 miles. It ain't going to grow a weight on the other side of the tire to straighten it out, whereas the planet does.
So what you're saying is if you have a volcano come up or a mountain rise on this side, then there's going to be something equal and opposite on the other side?
Right. It's yes. You had just say you had a cataclysm, an asteroid or some event that caused mountains to come out of alignment with each other. The gravity wave on a pyramid or a mountain-shaped pyramid or what have you condenses, and there's a focal point that happens on pyramids. Like how can I explain it? Take a magnifying glass. All right, you go outside in the sun and you adjust it, and you'll bring the focal point into a real tight band where you'll generate a hot spot from the sunlight underneath it. Kind of like starting a fire. I don't know if anybody's out there starting fires or what have you. Well, what's going on is when the subatomic particle called the photon goes through a lens, it actually bends it and concentrates it until it hits a tight focal point. So in the same instance, pyramids do the same thing to a gravity wave, although gravity waves are much less powerful than a photon wave on the planet. That's why they have to build these giant structures. But in essence, what happens is the focal point creates a high density zone inside the focal point of, say, a pyramid. So, say like the Great Pyramid of Giza, you'll have a focal point somewhere like 66 feet down from the apex. That'll have a high density zone, and then there'll be a low density, and then it'll be on average about 66 feet apart. There's another high density zone. So there's a stratification of the gravity wave. But what happens is you're creating a denser gravitational field on a pyramid or a mountain. And if you look below the tectonic plate or below the crust of the earth, that affects the magma current in the mantle to the point where you can actually cause the hot plumes. What it does is it causes the hot plumes to come up from the core, and actually at 180 degrees on the other side of the planet, it'll actually carve its way through a tectonic plate and build a volcano, or eventually build a mountain, or to some effect, it'll grow mass on that side of the planet just by manipulating the currents of magma in the Earth's core. Is that good?
Yeah. So maybe you can take us back in time. I'm really going to make your imagination work here for a second and paint a picture. I mean, because I'm trying to piece this whole thing together. So, you're saying that you think these pyramids are like 500,000 years old. And so what was going on 500,000 years ago? I mean, you said we were in the Ice Age, so what was going on that caused them to build the pyramids, and what were they hoping would be the resolution, or the effect that they were going to get by building them? Did that make sense?
Yes, it did. Utopia, the normal weather patterns on Earth are 100,000 years in an ice age, 13,500 years in a warm-up period, which we're, by the way, at the end of, and then you go back into a 100,000-year ice age. So the normal weather for the last 500,000 years is spent. If normal's the most time spent, that would be in the ice age. So we're currently on our fourth warm-up cycle, and at the end of the fourth warm-up cycle. So as far as they're probably building the pyramids, rebuilding the pyramids. It's a process of rebuilding and building and rebuilding and building. I think the main thing to get control over, to prevent tectonic plates from slipping, which is real bad, and give you a bad hair day, is to get control over the magnetic field. And if you look at Giza, it's perfectly lined with true north, and it was built in that alignment to capture the magnetic field by controlling the magma plumes that are highly magnetic, because of the they have a lot of iron, magnetic properties, a lot of these plumes. But in essence, you want to control your magnetic field on the planet, and that I think is the primary purpose. And there's other purposes to the system also with regards to controlling volcanoes. So overall, when you have the ice caps build, you have millions or trillions of tons of ice that basically get caked on the south and northern polar caps. That also affects the magnetic fields on the planet. So as they melt, because we do go in cycles, as they melt, the pyramids in Giza, I think all the pyramids in the Nile Valley, they all kind of line up, to true north. They maintain the magnetic field, or lock it in, if you will. And that's the primary purpose. So if you
I thought the magnetic field was moving.
It's been moving ever since Colonel Weiss went in there, and I think it was like the 1830s. He was in Giza and doing some gunpowder archaeology, if you will, and just blasting away in there and damaging the pyramids in Giza. Now, before I go any further, the way you disable a pyramid is you open it up. They were built to be sealed up. Once you open up a pyramid, you create a bypass, or you dilute the gravitational intensity that it's capable of building, and thus you lose control over your magma currents in the earth, and then you eventually lose control over your poles, your magnetic field. So if I have some maps in the book that show the point where Colonel Weiss did his damage in Giza, and within inside of a year or even less, the poles started to drift. So I don't know, is it a coincidence? I don't know, but so you can look at the pyramids in on the Giza plateau as being damaged. There's information out there. I like Graham Hancock's analogy that we're a species with amnesia, and we were supposed to get the message to keep these pyramids intact and in perfect operating condition for a good reason. So having the magnetic pole north drift, I think it's doing like 200 miles a year. I don't know if it's picked up or not. That was last year. I got that number, and it's heading towards Russia. So it's not a good scenario to be in.
So do you think we're moving into a new ice age? I mean, there's all this conversation about, global climate change. I'm not going to say global warming, but global climate change. And there are issues around water, which might be part of it. I know that the atmosphere needs to have a certain amount of sulfur. I don't really understand why, in order to keep, the planet cool, which makes rain happen. Everything is so interconnected and we screw stuff up. But, there's this fear that it's going to get too hot, but it almost sounds like, but is it like it's going to get too hot and then it's going to be like the movie Day Before Tomorrow where it's just like poof, ice cold again?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't mean like, in 20 minutes like it was in the movie, but.
Yeah, I think the damage with the heating planet, what you're having, what you have when you heat a planet of Earth design, you have the, obviously there's trillions of tons of ice weight that has already been liberated from the caps, flowed into the oceans, diluting the salinity levels. And the latest and greatest minds out there say the salinity levels are the motor in the ocean's conveyors. You have like 4 big conveyors on the planet that basically bring warm weather to, say, places like Ireland and England from the equator. Just to show your point, but if you have it warming up and you have the ice diluting the salinity levels, those conveyors collapse. And you don't have the warm, temperate Gulf streams bringing water up, or bringing warm, heated ocean water up. So that in of itself will cause the northern and southern poles to go into a ice building mode. I don't know. I don't think it'll be relatively quick, but it'll happen over a period of time. From what I've read, I'm not 100% sure on what actually triggers a big collapse, but you can understand things happen slowly over time. But I think once the trigger's pulled, it picks it up a clip or two, and it can happen fairly quickly after it starts moving in one direction, going into a cooler direction. So with that, you'll have your ice caps will build, the ocean levels will drop, the salinity levels will pick up, the ocean conveyors will come back, will be reactivated again, and 100,000 years will be back up in Oregon, sitting on the beach.
Drinking a latte. Yeah.
Yeah, here you go. I'm just repeating what the scientists tell us,
Yeah, I hear
when
that.
When it comes to that, so.
Okay, so 50,000 years ago, they put some pyramids in. They're trying to have the planet, stabilize, warm up a little bit. But haven't we had some like mini ice ages? And do you think that there was more pyramid building when these situations happened?
Yes. I think, mini ice ages, when the pyramids were intact and, operational, they would trigger volcanic eruptions when the temperatures rose on the planet and basically cool off. There was a mini ice age in Europe. I think around 1500 to 1700. There's a lot of large volcanoes that went off, around the equator. So, in essence, we've missed a mini ice age here. So, for one reason or another, the volcanoes seem to not able to cool us off. And I think primarily is because a lot of these pyramids have been damaged. So you lose control over your currents, your magma currents in the core.
So do you think, I know that one of the things on Mars, the reason it lost its atmosphere was because there was no longer a current going through, and the magma wasn't flowing in the core anymore. Do you think with the damage that's been done to the pyramids that is something that could potentially happen to us, that we would end up eventually losing our magnetic field, thus our atmosphere?
Well, it's the main engine that runs the gravitational fields on the pyramids and on the mountains, if you will, that basically stroke the magma currents, is the Earth's moon. So the Earth's moon is in constant motion. It's given us our 2 high tides a day, and with that, it's also like a reciprocating engine, a piston. It's pushing and pulling the magma currents in a certain direction, multiple directions in some cases, inside the core. So I think we have a long way to go before we, burn this planet out like Mars did. I kind of on the fence. I'm probably leaning towards it. I think Mars was inhabited by human beings a long time ago, and we had to do a little planet hopping, get another good planet to live on. So it's possible we'll go that way, but I think it's a long way out, very far out. I think there's still a lot of hope for us.
I'm not even going to say anything. There are some people that speculate that the moon was intentionally put into place. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the whole solar system was intelligent design. I mean, you call him God. I mean, that's all the religions believe it was a God that built the solar system. So I think it's of intelligent design. I don't think it just happened. But their time and our time is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thoughts.
Okay. I had one question, and then it kind of led me into another question, so I'm trying to decide which would be the better one to lead with. You're talking about there's a volcano on one side, there's a volcano in Hawaii, and they decide to build a pyramid in order to, would harness be the correct word, the energy of that volcano, or monitor the energy of the volcano? Would that be a correct way to phrase it?
Yes. I think going back, this is where I have my timeline problem, because you have the Seamount Island chain, or the Emperor Island chain, and that was built off of the Hawaiian hotspot, and that's millions of years old, that island chain. And then you have the Hawaiian island chain. So I would say that the magnetic north on the planet has changed over the years from one place to another. So I would have to say that the pyramids were built to lock in magnetic north, and it just so happens that Hawaii's the hot spot, and that's exactly what I think is happening. Is they've harnessed the Hawaiian Islands, because they're mass above. There's anything above sea level is a gravity focal point generator that will control or manipulate the magma currents below it. So in that aspect, I would say that Giza was built. The pyramids in the Nile Valley stretch way back. So it seems like they've been marching down from Lake Victoria with pyramids in that line, following the Nile Valley all the way to the sea. So yes, I think that would be a fair answer.
But that just brings up a very interesting point, just on a commentary level. if that's what they were doing, then that also makes the assumption that there was a global society, global something, or, the people in Egypt needed to know that there was something going on in Hawaii that needed to be addressed.
Yeah, that's where we got to kind of shift paradigms. Like it's the people were much more advanced. They were getting around from one place to the other, and it wasn't by kayaks and paddles and sails. So, like I said, they were an ancient geoengineering society, Type 3 society on a Kardashian scale. That were putting this all together. And so I kind of I've just jumped right off the cliff there with the traditional mainstream, trying to connect the dots with the ancient cultures that we're aware of. I mean, if I had to draw a line to who's doing it, I'd have to go with the Anunnaki or the Atlanteans. Seems to be they've been documented as being on Earth for a long time, and I'd have to go with that. Does that answer the question?
Mm-hmm. You were talking about that chain of islands, I guess that were millions of years old. I mean, can the pyramids, individually, do you think be adjusted? Or do you think that in order to adjust the pyramids, what they actually end up having to do is to build other pyramids or smaller pyramids in close proximity to kind of balance out the energy?
Yeah, I think it's a work in progress. You have to take your measurements. You have to look at your whole planetary environment, and absolutely, there's evidence that they've rebuilt and increased the size of pyramids over their time. I don't agree with their timelines. I agree with yes, they were increased in size. So it's a progress in motion, and it's a new science that I'm trying to push out there. And yes, you have to build, continuously build, adapt, because the planet Earth is alive. It's always moving, plates are shifting, so mass moves from one place to the other. So there's a need to stay on top of the the magma streams and tectonic plate activity. So yes, definitely, you have to put pyramids in different places for different situations. Right now, we're in an ice melt or a warm up, so there could be a need for pyramids building to balance out the planet. If there was ever a massive shift in land of tectonic plates.
But do you really think that that's going to happen in today's day and age? Please.
What do you mean by that?
That someone's going to build some giant pyramid somewhere to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's. I don't think they're going to go out and build a giant pyramid until they understand what the reaction is going to be to putting a pyramid on a piece of land somewhere. So I was joking with somebody today, saying, with this technology, I could build an island for you. Might take a couple of thousand years, but I can put a pyramid somewhere, and 180 degrees from that location, I'll start a magma pool cutting through a tectonic plate, and eventually it'll grow into an island. So, so it's island building.
Okay, but there's a whole bunch of pyramids on the planet already, and so Are they, other than the ones that we've kind of desecrated? Are they still building territory, or do they get to a point of equilibrium? I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, we have these energy streams going from like Giza to Hawaii, and then we got the ones in South America going to wherever they go, and the ones in China going to well, my
Bermuda.
living room, and there are these forces kind of going, well, my dog digs holes to China, so I know China's like through my floor.
Yeah.
And so there are these forces going through the planet or around the planet or however they're doing that. And it just seems like it would be this kind of crazy hodgepodge of waves. And to be honest, it's kind of surprising that there isn't some kind of weird interference that's happening with all of this back and forth activity happening from all kinds of different locations.
Yeah, we're definitely mucking up the gravitational field on the planet with sky rises and blasting holes through mountains. And I mean, every action has an equal and opposite reaction when it comes to this type of science, this type of activity. Like the pyramids in Central America, Guatemala, and Belize, they tie into volcanoes in the Indian Ocean, close to the Sumatra subduction zone, and they were primarily built from what I can understand is they were primarily built to place volcanic islands on that tectonic plate to allow it to slide smoothly under the Asian plate. Your Asian plate? I know it's Asian plate. So just say, for instance, you had a tectonic plate boundary that kept moving, just having these massive movements, and you're sending tsunamis around the world. Again, it makes for a bad hair day. So what you would do if you were a Type 3 society and aware of your gravitational fields and energy, you would build pyramids 180 degrees opposed to this area, and consequently you would cause change the magma stream under that area, and we carve a hole through the tectonic plate, and the birth of a underwater volcano would happen, and over time a volcano would rise above sea level and keep growing, maybe a couple hundred feet above sea level or a couple of thousand feet above sea level. The point is, you want to put some weight on that plate to get it to slide under another plate, which it normally wouldn't do unless you could add some weight to it. So that was another use of volcano building with pyramids, if you will. So in essence, there's the Andaman Islands, and I think got my globe here. There's the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands in the Indian Ocean were built with the pyramids in Central America to add weight onto that tectonic plate and allow it to slide smoothly underneath. And so, I mean, that's one purpose for that string of pyramids. And then, the Shen pyramids in China, they line up with the Bermuda Island. So they had control over the Bermuda Island.
So is there anything that lines up with like the San Andreas Fault?
No. There's not that I'm aware of. The mountain range, the Himalayas, line up with the mountain ranges in the United States. And I think Mount Everest ties into the supercaldera. The problem with mountain ranges is they're not as accurate to pinpoint. I call them unbalanced mass above the ellipsoid. So without a supercomputer and a bunch of geoengineers plotting gravitational fields and going through the core over to the Himalayas to the United States, you get a lot of what do I call it? The distortion from the gravity wave. So say the Sierra Nevadas, the Rockies, and I should know the ones right by my house here, right? The mountains right here, the mountain ranges in New England. Oh, not New England. The Eastern Seaboard. They all tie into the Himalayas. So it's the San Andreas Fault. It's not tied into a pyramid, if you will. That doesn't mean it can't. And a lot of pyramids or a lot of mountains, I refer to the planet as being cut up like a diamond, like a jeweler cuts a diamond. The whole planet, if you look around, there's a lot of unexplained anomalies. What's the saying? God doesn't make things in straight lines. So, there's a lot of mountaintops that are missing. There's a lot of mountaintops that have been hand carved into actual pyramid shapes, like Mount Everest is the shape of a pyramid up at the top. But that more or less is done to create a dense focal point up there, and it sets the stage for the multiples or the stratification of the gravity wave going through the mass of these huge mountains over there.
That's interesting. So you think Mount Everest and a bunch of other mountains were actually carved to be certain shapes in order to maximize, and I'm going to say their resonant frequency kind of thing?
Gravity, to maximize the gravitational density fields inside the core of the mountains. So giving them a little bit more accuracy and intensity on the gravitational pull.
Well, I guess it would be a lot less expensive than, building a giant pyramid.
Oh, heck of a lot easier. Yeah, you get out some big, giant, diamond blade saws and just, have at it and shape the pyramid, shape your own pyramid out of solid rock. And actually, that's the best pyramid design out there. It'll last forever.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking at the clock, and we need to take a break here in a second because I'm actually going to be on time today. So when we come back, there was a question in the chat room, and I think we will hit that first and then get back to our great conversation. Sound good?
Hey, sounds good, Rita. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and we're here talking to John Shaughnessy about his book, Pyramid Gravity Force, and we'll be back with John after these words from our sponsors.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
You're listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
Are you looking for a cure for boredom? Never worry. IRN's new interactive website introduces a number of ways to pass time while you listen to your favorite show. Choose anything from the IRN chat lounge, the game lounge, video lounge, or the mood lounge. These fun, exciting features let you chat in real time with fellow listeners, view live skywatches, play daily posted online games, or pick a show based on topic. The choices are endless. Use your time wisely, keeping it all on IRN.
Who were the gods of antiquity? They've been described as the forces of nature, levels of consciousness, and aspects of our psyche. Stories that depict their incredible weapons, their flying machines, and their amazing adventures are characterized as being the product of our ancestors' fanciful imaginations. But what if the tales of the gods are true? Did the writers, chroniclers, and scribes of our distant past actually document a realistic view of our origin? My latest book, Man-Made, The Chronicles of Our Extraterrestrial Gods, looks at our most ancient legends. Learn of the torrid romances, elaborate plots, violent scandals, and conspiracies that played out in antiquity. Find out the role the gods played in the life and culture we have today. If you want to find out the truth of who we are and where we come from, order your copy of Man-Made today. For more information, go to www.manmadethechronicles.com. That's www.manmadethechronicles.com.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception Radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free.
crossroads in your life and discover alternative solutions to your deepest concerns at soulhealer.com. So whether it's a physical problem, an emotional issue, a question about work, or troubles in your relationships, naturopath and medical intuitive Dr. Rita Louise can help you. Bring peace, harmony, and health back into your life. Schedule a session today. Visit soulhealer.com right away and live the life you've been dreaming of.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Go deep inside yourself and venture into the realm of the unconscious mind with my Meditating on the Kabbalah guided imagery audio CDs. Discover who you are and what you want in life. Meditating on the Kabbalah can help you to open, clear, and revitalize the energetic pathways of your subtle being. They will support you in your spiritual quest by helping you to access the profound insights and inner guidance you need as you work in alignment with your highest good. Let them help you to release negative thoughts and emotions and clear away any limitations that may be keeping you from experiencing your full potential. Walk down the path to health, healing, understanding, and enlightenment with Meditating on the Kabbalah. Order your copy today at www.soulhealer.com. That's right, that's www.soulhealer.com.
Hello, Inception Radio Network. Would you like your favorite show to be played again live on air? Well, now the choice is in your hands with IRN's live request portal, an easy way to request your favorite show with a simple click. IRN's live request portal now gives you exclusive access to all the shows. How easy is it? Simply type a show name or a guest name, click request, even write a dedication message, and that's it. Try it now. Simply visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com, click on the live request tab under the show menu. Now playing your favorite show is just a mouse click away.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello and welcome back to the second hour of Just Energy Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for staying tuned to the second hour of the show. Just Energy Radio is brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive counselor, or energy medicine practitioner from the comfort of your own home. Check out the website, www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com. And it's also brought to you by soulhealer.com, where you can find out about all the products and services I offer. So we've been here talking to John Shaughnessy about his book, Pyramid Gravity Force. His website is pyramidgravityforce.com, pyramidgravityforce.com. So, John, I told you before we went to break, I was going to ask a question from the chat room. And this is another one from Analog Hole. And he says, please ask John if he is aware of Dr. Alexander Golod and his research and pyramids that have been built in Russia, and if you can comment on his work.
Is that the pyramid in what's the Bosnia pyramid?
No, these are ones that I had did I have on the show? Carmen Bolder. That they built in Russia. They're contemporary.
Okay. Oh, the contemporary pyramids that they built. Yes,
they're made of fiberglass.
Yeah, I've read of some Russian scientists building pyramids on oil fields, trying to get a better product out of the ground. I don't know if that's the same one, but I'm not familiar with the name, so I can't really comment on his work. So I guess I'm not 100% sure.
That would be a no.
No.
Okay, no's an okay answer on this show.
Okay.
Unless you want a cat, then you can only say yes. Mine just climbed on the desk, and now he's pushing everything everywhere. And if I start cursing, it's because the cat just pushed everything off my desk. Okay. Let's see. Where do I want to go? So do you think the pyramids are still, I mean, you said that they're still working, but I mean, do you really think they're working, or they're just kind of limping along, or, what do you think is, the health of the pyramids based on your theory? I mean, because obviously the Giza pyramid, they've blown holes in it and done all kinds of stuff. I know that in South America or Central America, they've gone into a lot of the pyramids, dug through them looking for burial chambers and who the heck knows what else. What kind of based on the damage that we've done to these pyramids, what impact do you think that has on the planet?
I think it's catastrophic damage, long term, short term. We're seeing a lot of the events. There was one in Central America they tore down to put a road through. A lot of these destructive events you can tie to huge earthquakes and tectonic plate movements that I have in my book. Yes, I think the health of the planet is hanging in the balance with the pyramids being run down and turned into amusement parks, really. And every time they go into one, they lower the gravitational field and they damage the current, the magma current that was set up by the ancient geoengineers in the first place. So, my honest belief is that the pyramids in Giza, primary source of energy to lock in magnetic north to true north and get it to stop drifting is my primary concern right now. And all the pyramids that are tied into volcanoes around the planet need to be respected, repaired, sealed back up, and maybe even given a new aesthetic face on the outside. You can rebuild them, bring them back to their original quality. And yes, without a doubt, I think the health of the planet is contingent upon the health of the pyramids, and they are just limping along. The Hawaiian hotspot, I refer to it as just bleeding. It's just bleeding out. So it needs attention. The ones in Giza especially need attention. They've opened them up, and like I said, they're tourist attractions, amusement parks. Pretty soon they're going to have fast food stores in the King's Chamber, I think. So we need to back out, put everything back to the way it originally was, and let them do their job. That's what I have for that.
But it seems like if where contemporary thought or what contemporary people think the pyramids were built for, they'd be putting a little, sleep number bed in the sarcophagus and drapes, and you know what I mean? I don't know that there are that they really understand it. I
absolutely. You're looking at a monumental task, even in the the geoengineering physics arena. to get people to look at the connections between mass above the ellipsoid and matching mass. I mean, there's been a huge gap in understanding how mountains line up with mountains. It's not so much. It's not just pyramids. It's mountains line up with mountain ranges, and there's a lot of proof out there that I think once the mainstream gets a hold of it, they will maybe run with it, and accept it as a new science. So it's an uphill battle. I mean, when I first had this idea come rushing into my head over the years, I said, we're going to need an army to get into Giza just to repair the pyramids, I mean, literally. So, maybe that's what it's going to take.
Well, I mean, based on what's going on in the economy, I don't know that anybody could even afford to do it. I mean, you can't afford to not do certain things, but I don't know that there's anybody that could afford to do it. To take it on as a project and say, oh, well, we're going to fix this.
Yeah, it would have to be a global, event. All the countries getting together to finance the work that needs to be done in Giza. So to get those projects off the ground and repair the pyramids, it would change the economy. Be working in Egypt for 100 years or longer. If there was a change in paradigm and they did recognize this as an actual science, and that the pyramids did have and do play a part in locking in the magnetic field on the planet by controlling the magma streams in the core.
Yeah, because, I mean, even just the concept of bringing the, big pyramid, the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau back online, that's just one pyramid. And there are hundreds of pyramids on the planet.
Yes. I mean, some, like I was, before the break, I was expressing some pyramids are for tectonic plate control, and some are for, magnetic field control. So there's different designs. But I would focus on the Great Pyramid of Giza, Menkaure. There's a few other pyramids in the Nile Valley that could use a facelift, if you will. The thought that step pyramids were built on purpose as step pyramids is not the case. They were all built as step pyramids, and then they all had a smooth outer casing to increase the gravitational field inside the core at the focal point of the pyramids. So the idea that the mainstream idea is, well, they started out here, they put a couple of blocks together, and by the time they got out of the Sudan and down to Giza in Egypt, they had their game together, and they were making limestone smooth, perfect joints. That's not the case. The older pyramids in the Nile Valley were smooth pyramids also. They've just been eroded with time, and weather, and obviously human intervention, exploration. Everybody's looking for the big stash. Well, there isn't any.
Really? Okay, so here's a question from Redshift. Is there anyone else on board with your theory, or is this just kind of your thing?
There are a lot of people on board that believe in it, that have given it a look, but they're not running the big government agencies, if you will. There's a lot of people that understand it, agree with it. So I guess I'm the only one that has a book on it. There's another fellow by the name of Zach Roya. He has a book out called Pyramid Rising, and he is also in the same more or less field that I am, pushing his theory with the pyramids are here for the health of the planet, control the temperature, magnetic fields, so on. So, and Zach lives in Hawaii, so it hits home to him. He's at the working end of the Giza pyramids.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he goes to Egypt and brings like some little plaster pot, and he's like, "Here, I'm just going to patch you up one little corner at a time."
Well, but that's nobody. I'm just trying to get out there. I wrote a physics paper. I have a good chance of getting published in the next few weeks or the next couple of months on in a physics journal. So with my formula and my explanation of how mass above the ellipsoid manipulates the gravity wave to control magma in the core.
Well, congratulations on that.
So
That's doesn't sound like a very easy feat just by itself.
Oh no, it's not easy to be published.
Not in that way. No, not in a professional journal.
Nope. It's, I've been turned down a few times, but I keep coming back. So when I started out, I was at the caveman level, so I'm evolving up to the physics the language.
Oh, so you've moved from like Neanderthal to early Homo erectus, huh?
Yeah, my first paper consisted of drawings of pyramids and volcanoes. Now I've put some numbers in there.
So what do you think the planet would be like if the pyramids weren't here?
It would be one tsunami after another. Great surfing, I don't think we would be enjoying the utopia and the stability that we currently are watching slip away, if you will. So it wouldn't be good. And again, I think the magnetic field being locked in by the pyramids is paramount to the stability of the tectonic plates, the whole planet as a whole.
Well, explain that. I mean, how does the magnetic field affect the Earth? I mean, I know that it's part of what kind of holds the atmosphere in place. What else does it do other than, it makes your compass point in a certain direction?
Yeah, it's over I think the last time you had a magnetic pole shift was 800,000 years. And so in that time, everything on the planet, thing meaning mass, tectonic plates, mountains, all get a magnetic signature in it. So basically everything's going from north to south. So if you have the internal magnet turn, the poles turn inside the the iron core and the liquid iron core. You actually have that start to rotate. And if you ever played with magnets, you put positive to positive, they repel each other. A positive and a negative, they pull each other together. So if you just imagine just turning the inner magnet, geomagnet, if you will, you'll start repelling and pulling tectonic plates as it's doing its shift, which would be cataclysms, catastrophic events all over the place. So just having it drift a couple of 100 miles, towards Russia a year is putting stress and tension on things that have developed a positive and a negative, or a plus and a minus, or a north pole and a south pole magnetic line in the plate or the mountain or crust of the earth, if you will. So
I guess what you're saying is it would be really bad.
It would be bad. Anybody that's telling you, "Oh, don't worry about it. It happens slowly." It's like, okay, were you here 800,000 years ago? So I don't think it's a good idea. Absolutely not. Lock it in while you still can. Yeah, it'd be very bad. Good surfing weather, but other than that, very bad.
Very bad. One of the things that I was wondering is, if they are focusing gravity or organizing the magnetic field and doing all of this stuff, there are other people, and I'm just trying to see if there is a connection between what you're talking about and some other people's theories. There are people that talk about how the pyramids were used to produce electricity or some kind of an energy microwave output. And so could that output, electricity or electromagnetic radiation or whatever, be the byproduct of what you're actually talking about?
Yes. As far as a magnetic field, if you condense the gravity wave, and this you can pick up a magnetic signature on the pyramids, and that could be a byproduct of condensing the gravity wave. Getting back to the pyramids are nothing more than a lens. That's all they are. They're just a lens, just like a glass. Magnifying glass is a lens that condenses photons. The pyramids condense the gravity wave, and gravity and magnetism go hand in hand. Although there is no magnetism without gravity, but there's magnetism with gravity. So they kind of intertwine with each other, just like the photons and other subatomic particles. But yes, you could tap the pyramids if they were running properly for electricity. Maybe work the difference between the north and south poles, or plus or minus negative and positive poles on a magnet. You could tap into it and basically use the differential in current to charge your cell phone, maybe heat some water. I don't know if you'll power Cairo or any of that thing, but I guess yes, it's entirely possible. The right conductors.
Okay, I mean, yeah, because there are a number of people that talk about pyramid power and how the pyramids could be used to produce free energy, kind of like Tesla was doing, and I think it would be interesting, and to me, kind of validating that maybe there really is something to what you're saying, because it sounds like people from different places are all kind of converging on that same output, and you're kind of stepping back and going, okay, but this is how it would be produced. I mean, I know that, some of these other people say, well, they, somehow tap into the harmonic resonance of the planet or something, but I don't think they really understand, where that energy is coming from. And it sounds like what you've kind of figured out is where the energy is coming from. So maybe you need to hook up with one of these pyramid power people, and meld minds, because I think you might, be able to come up with something even bigger and cooler than each of you individually. My thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in touch with a lot of published authors out there, and it's everybody has a vested time in their theory out there in the pyramid world, if you will. So it's kind of, the new guy's coming in, so you got to open the door and work with
and
each
not
other.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
Come on, I know how it is.
Yeah, he's gonna kill my book sales. Not that crazy idea, but absolutely right. The more minds, the better. I mean, I'm just throwing this out. My theories, I've got a lot of years into this, and this is kind of it's new. And it takes into consideration all the pyramids. Like a lot of the theories out there, they focus on the Giza pyramids, where mine encompasses all the pyramids on the globe, what they are doing in the alignment, which is not an anomaly. It's there's 50 pyramids that I've gone through, and there's 100 plus more that I can keep drawing alignments to volcanoes with. So there's a lot more evidence, if you will, than just theory that's pointing this this discovery and moving this discovery along.
So if there is, I guess kind of following up my last question, is there some kind of a discharge that the pyramids give off? And if they do give off a discharge, how did they control it?
Yeah, it's like I say, during the gravitational cycle of the moon on the planet, that's the big engine, if you will, for the planet that moves the tides. It's very powerful. It moves trillions of tons of water every day. It's just unbelievable energy that's exerted by the orbit of the moon on the planet. So during those times, there is without a doubt, with the correct alignments, with the moon's orbit and the place of the pyramid on the planet, you will extract quite possibly some kind of electrical discharge, or a higher magnetic field or signature on the pyramids. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, kind of.
So as far as tapping into it, like I said,
I just wouldn't want to just be, nonchalantly walking, by the Giza pyramid, and then I touch it and I zap myself.
I don't, because it's grounded. It's really, electricity goes to ground. So if there's a magnetic field in there that's creating some kind of, electricity, it's going to go right to ground. It's, unless you're standing on top, you get into the Tesla theories there, where he was making his, atmospheric generators. He was taking the differential in current between the atmosphere and a good ground in the ground, if you will. So I mean, you could tap into some electricity. There's been reports of people going up there and lighting a light bulb or a fluorescent bulb in certain atmospheric conditions on top of the pyramids in Giza and other pyramids. And so I don't. As far as walking by it, I think you're fine. There's definitely energy out there. The pyramids have gravity signatures on them. H.D. Buey has, with the EDF Foundation, I think in the 80s, went out and took a gravity snapshot of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and there was thousands and thousands of gravity readings painstakingly. Every course they did a gravity reading, and it created a densitogram, if you will. It's a 3D picture of the gravity wave on the Great Pyramid of Giza. So there is, there's science out there, and as far as there's been a lot of engineers that have gone out there and gotten magnetic signatures off of the Great Pyramid of Giza and other pyramids. But with that in mind, as long as you can isolate or use the differential between, if you got a positive here and you can get a negative somewhere else, you can use the differential in voltage. It seems like we all go to voltage. It's all electrical. It's all electrons. When we think of converting something to usable power, it's always electricity. So there's, an entire, there's a secondary potential power source that can be tapped into on the pyramids.
Well, that would be kind of cool, since they're mostly built. If Exxon would just send some money over there to put them back in place the way they were, although we don't really even understand how they worked and how much damage we've done, that, we might make it so that they just don't ever really work anyway.
Well, we could fix the damage. I mean, the damage is, it can be repaired. We have the technology to cut stone, and I would rather do it now with the technology we have and wait for a cataclysm and have to do it with copper chisels and ropes and pulleys, you know.
Oh, like they did it then that way too. Yeah. On those little wood rollers in a country where there's no wood. Yeah, that.
Yeah, rope with no, yeah.
With the number of pyramids that have been, I'm going to say, rediscovered over the past 100 to 150 years, do you think that there are that many volcanoes that need to be dealt with, or plate boundaries that need to be dealt with? Or do you think that, do you think that the Earth is that unstable?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, without a doubt. The Earth is a living being, as I call it. Yes, I think if you look at the just the thermodynamics of the year the Earth goes around the sun, we have the winter in the northern hemisphere, and then you have the summer in the southern hemisphere. Every 6 months, you're swinging around around the sun, so you're constantly heating and cooling. So you're heating and cooling an object that's, I think it's 8,000 miles in diameter. There's coefficient of expansion, if you will, with plates. There's plates moving. There's a lot of plates are moving 2-3 inches a year. Tectonic plates, different boundaries on average. Some move more, some move less, but there's an expansion and contraction going on with the planet. So the pyramids, from what I've discovered, tied into more or less putting a balance on plate tectonics. It adds weight to certain tectonic plate boundaries and allows them to slip underneath, where if they were buttoned and you came into an expansion part of the year, something would slip and move, and you can move, you'd have a tsunami, tidal waves 100 feet high or what have you, just doing massive destruction. They just go right around the world. So every pyramid that was built that ties into a volcano had a purpose when it was put together, and a lot of them still have a purpose. But as you alluded, like I think before the break, that eventually there's an equilibrium that builds up between the two sites, and that's fine. It's a balance, and it locks in. And there's a gravity wave on the pyramid, and there's a gravity wave on the volcano, and they're both pulling at the current, or they're just pulling going down to the core. Their gravitational pull actually goes through the crust and the plate and down to the core. However significant or insignificant, they're still providing a locking mechanism or a function on that area that they were built on. So all of them have a purpose.
Well, and that was a different question that I wanted to ask. Do you think all of them have a purpose, or do you think a percentage, and I'm not going to say all of them, but a percentage are copycat, where they come down into more modern times and, people think they are burial places, and so they just get built inadvertently because, people think that that's what you're supposed to do, or that they're cool or whatever.
My honest opinion, it's possible. I think the smaller pyramids, you have that mystique where they built it to maybe house something or somebody. But the large pyramids, the ones that are a million tons or larger, they were built with geoengineering purposes in mind. So I don't necessarily agree that the large ones were built for monumental purposes. They just that's my belief.
Yeah,
I think they might have been taken over, and incorporated into monumental or burial tombs, and more or less diverted their primary function to house a leader, or a king or a queen or something to that effect. But the original purposes were volcano control, magma control. It's all about magma control. That's what it all boils down to. No pun intended.
Man, and I thought that's what the hokey pokey was. It's just hard to believe that a civilization could be on the planet and advance to a place where it did, with the Earth being so unstable for such long periods of time.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's I think.
Or let me before you go on. Or do you think that we were fairly stable for a long time, and then something happened to make us be unstable?
I think we go in and out of technological advancements every 100,000 years. With 100,000 years, we go into a warm up, and then we supposedly take off our woolly mammoth coats and go out and build stuff and get inventive and this, that, and the other thing. But I think getting back to the question, where is the instability is always there. I think living on planet Earth 3 million years ago was no problem, as long as you were as big as a dinosaur. You could handle a little shake. But as far as building anything that would withstand tremors or large earthquakes and floods of that nature, you could survive. You could live on it. If you go into flatlands and things of that nature, and environments like that, you could probably keep going. Keep expanding your population up to a certain point. But as far as migrating out into different parts of the world where there wasn't pyramid technology, stable magnetic and quiet tectonic plate boundaries, I think it'd be tough. You'd just be living through a lot of cataclysms.
Well, it just makes me wonder why we lost our hair in the first place. If we were always in this kind of ice age, it would just, we would have more opportunities to expand into colder climate, based on theory of evolution, kind of like reindeer versus other deer, than in the current configuration we're at. But I digress. Have you done any investigation regarding the pyramid in Bosnia? I mean, there's still a lot of controversy. Is it a pyramid? Is it not a pyramid? Have you done any research on that? And if, is there a volcano on the other side of the Earth from that?
Absolutely, yes. I was in contact with a few people that actually volunteered, did some work up there. And it does, it's like a straight line out of Lake Victoria with pyramids straight up over to the North Pole. But the one in Bosnia, I think it's a little bit east, that actually ties into an island north of the Hawaiian Islands. I think it's Midway. I think it's a Midway Island. So at 180 degrees on the approximate same latitude, that pyramid does tie into an island north of Hawaii. So it kind of, it's probably about 300, 400, 500 miles. I'm not sure how many hundreds of miles it is from Giza, but it does have a volcano on the other side. And pyramids don't have to be, solid stone Giza. And those are exceptional pyramids. They actually, the denser the pyramid, the more gravitational pull and energy you'll have on, say, a magma current in the Earth, where you might not need that energy, but you need some energy. So you can make something, out of stone Earth or something to that effect, and still get the lens effect and the gravitational focal point and make a difference on the other side of the planet. The Midway Island is not an active volcano. It's dormant. So yes, I have done a little research in Bosnia. I believe it's a real pyramid. And like I said, there's a lot of pyramids that were built on natural mountain structures, cut. They were cut one way or another, It's kind of like you get out to the Nazca lines, and the mountain down there is completely missing. And Are you still there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so there's evidence that somebody had some technology that they can make a mountaintop disappear. They can go fine tune a couple of peaks on Everest or, K2 or wherever if they needed to.
So what about? I mean, they said they've discovered a pyramid, and I'm going to say in Croatia. Have you done any look into that?
Is it the ones? Is it the one at the mouth of the Black Sea?
I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with those. I know it's almost every week you hear about a pyramid or there was some.
Well, yeah, I mean there were supposedly ones in like underwater in outside of Portugal and all kinds of.
Yeah, that underwater pyramid in the Azores ties into the largest volcano on the planet. I think it's Tamus Massive. It's about 500 miles east of Japan. And like I say, it's 180 degrees opposed to the pyramid in the Azores. Or is that Portugal? I don't know if the Azores is Portugal, but that underwater pyramid in the Azores.
The Azores are just off Portugal.
Portugal. You'd think I would know that. I was there in the 80s. But so the same alignment. That pyramid lines up with the largest volcano on the planet. So when the ice age does roll in, the water does recede, and that pyramid will be above the water. It will work on keeping that volcano dormant, capped, if you will, stop it from erupting or minimize its eruption in one form or another. So I think that pyramid is like the biggest in the solar system. Not pyramid, volcano. The Temu, I think it's called the Temu Massive. It's just under the ocean. So there's different geological times that these pyramids tie in to volcanoes, like going into an ice age and coming out of an ice age. When a pyramid goes underwater, it's neutralized. It no longer acts as a lens and condense the gravity wave into a tight focal point and increases gravitational density. So the water neutralizes both places. It neutralized that volcano and also neutralized the pyramid that was built to control it.
So do you think that the materials, I mean, you kind of mentioned this, but the materials that are used in the pyramids are important?
Absolutely. It's of primary importance that you have the right power, gravitational density. Like you have to know what power output you're looking for. So if you want a high-powered pyramid, you'd build something like Giza, solid stone, made out of stone, made out of limestone, granite interior. Some of them have granite exteriors, very dense material. So, yes, like I said, if you didn't need a real dense power output or gravitational field, you would have to build something with that kind of level of engineering and density with the stone. But to stand the test of time, I think most of them you'll see are built of some type of stone. There might be some earth, added to it, or like in the case of the Shen pyramids in China, they're kind of like an earth-stone mix. So just say you wanted to cap the Bermuda. The island of Bermuda was out of control, as being a pain as far as ejecting ash and aerosol into the atmosphere. You would, because of the material requirements or the material, how should I put that, availability, you would have to build more pyramids to do the same job. So in Shen, China, I think it's like 14 pyramids in a certain area, 14 or maybe even 15. They're large. I mean, there's big ones and then there's small ones. So you just keep adding and building these pyramids. So you don't need the sophistication that was involved at Giza on every pyramid around the world. So,
all right, so I'm just going to kind of throw a out there one. I mean, because we've done shows about certain megalithic constructions and about them having resonant harmonies and tying into ley lines and yada, yada, yada. I mean, do you think that what's going on in the pyramids has some connection with, the stone circles in England or some of these other megalithic sites, that are using stones for some reason that we don't really understand anymore?
I mean, like Stonehenge. Mm-hmm. Stonehenge is what I call is instrumentation. After you build the pyramids and everything's wonderful, and you can adjust the power output or the gravitational field output on pyramids, remove a cap, increase a cap, build three smaller ones in front of it. Namely the ones in Giza, there's three small pyramids over there. Well, the way you monitor your tectonic plate movements, say in England, during the winter and summer solstice, you would obviously measure the shadow from the sunrise. So you'd mark it, and if you went back the next year and you noticed the sun wasn't sitting in the right place, you would conclude that the tectonic plate was moving. So you could use the Stonehenge as a warning, if you will, that the plates are moving one way or another. So, and there's a lot of those mounds and stone structures around the planet that I think were used just to monitor or measure tectonic plate movement. But as a little spin.
Okay, we like spins.
As a little spin, they do manipulate the gravity wave. I mean, they're massive stones, and when we're on a planet, we're in a solar system that's traveling 11.5 million miles a day, and we do go in and out of hot spots of gravitational fields and other energies that we really don't understand yet. They might play on a structure like Stonehenge. They might play on the structure of Stonehenge with gravity and create crop circles. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's the spin.
Well, and I have heard that one of the things that those structures were used for was to channel channel geomagnetic energy. So maybe there is a relationship, but no one's really just figured that out yet.
I've read into it. I've read into or studied some of the theories out there, and there's what I've come up with is it's instrumentation, just monitoring it. If you look at all the tectonic plates, there's a lot of them on the planet, and every one of them has something or some megalith structure that lines up with the winter and summer solstice. and then you can take measurements off of. It's kind of where I'm gravitating towards. No pun intended.
Boy, you're just like punning around.
It's all about the gravity wave.
Yeah, well, floating around would be kind of fun.
Yes, that would be nice. I mean, that's the long shot of this technology. If we can, if we're lensing gravity into a tight, dense field to create a denser gravitational field, then we should be able to manipulate it to reduce a gravitational field and float around.
Then we could all feel a few pounds lighter too. That would be nice.
That would be very nice, especially this time of year. We're all a little bit heavy up in the Northeast, anyways.
So I heard that you guys were supposed to get hit with some more snow. Did you?
Yes, yeah. It was more a cold weather. Day before was like 55 degrees, and this morning I woke up and it was like 5 degrees. So it was a big drop in temperature, and we did have like flurries and ice and snow. So it's the winter. It's just hanging in there. It doesn't want to let go. Well, go ahead.
I just have heard, from people. I mean, it was pretty. I live in Texas, and it was pretty bad here. But I just hear from people in the north, that it's just been one of the worst winters they recall ever being in.
Oh yes, yeah. It was it started early too. It got cold early on, and it just stuck. And it was a lot of low temperature, below freezing, not below freezing, below zero. Never mind freezing. Passed that a long time ago. -10, -18 for like weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And it's very, very trying for a lot of people. The cost of fuel and plus nothing likes to run in the cold weather cars. You name it. It's just one problem after another. But I was just joking around. I was thinking the guys that are spraying the chemtrails up there overdid it. You got to cut back on the tons they're putting up in the atmosphere. We're not going to get any summer at all.
Well, I think maybe you need to, go somewhere in South America or something and build a pyramid.
It's possible. I think the natural way of cooling the planet down with
is air conditioning. Everybody leave their front doors open.
It's possible, but I think the natural way, the Earth's thermostat through volcanoes, the best way to cool it down. Not use the chemtrails, if you will. I don't know I don't have any evidence of doing it, but it's possible.
Well, but I don't know that they're doing the chemtrails to
cool the planet down.
Cool us down,
It sure feels like it. In the Northeast, anyways. Well, all of the United States are pretty tough, pretty hard hit.
Well, but it's not even just the United States. I mean, I think it's worldwide. This is going on.
Right.
And I just think it's interesting, because there's all this concern about, global warming, which I don't even like using that word anymore, about these temperature changes, and then we have a winter this cold, but it would make sense to me, if you're going to have really high highs, that you would have really low lows, because things, are sine wave. They're not just in one direction necessarily.
Right. Absolutely right.
So do you think that our not paying attention to the pyramids and, tearing them down and doing that stuff is part of what's impacting the current weather situation?
Yeah, I think up to a point. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly where we're supposed to be. It definitely. I think the pyramids definitely have a key in volcanic activity, and I think we're way behind I think we missed a mini ice age one form or another that should have cooled us down. I think we're a lot warmer on the planet that we have just by the glacier loss of glacier fields and the loss of ice on the caps.
I know that whole thing worries me, you know, having the whole jet stream shut down. But anyway, I just looked at the clock. John, we only have a couple of minutes left. All right, actually we have like a minute left. If somebody wants to get a copy of your book, Pyramid Gravity Force, where's the best place to send them?
Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Well, that was easy.
They're both. You can go to my website and click on the links right to Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And there's also an electronic book link on my webpage. And I'm pretty available. I'm approachable. You know, there's a blog you can. If you have any questions, just hit me up. I'll get back to you. And we're looking for people, looking for volunteers. Anybody, you know, everybody and anybody out there that can, you know, get involved. Now's the time. I really feel it in my heart. We really should chase it down. You know, if they're watching the North Pole magnetic north move, they ought to exhaust all avenues, and that would be fix the pyramids in Giza and see if, in fact, it does stop it from moving. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of that in a nutshell, or a pyramid shell. I
know it's definitely time to go now. John, thank you so much for coming on, and I will talk to you. Well, I will definitely talk to you in August, but hopefully I'll talk to you before that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rita Louise, and I appreciate you giving me the time on the air. Oh,
not a problem. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's John Shaughnessy. His book is Pyramid Gravity Force. His webpage, pyramidgravityforce.com. And next week, we have two good friends of Just Energy Radio. In the first hour, we have Marie D. Jones coming on to talk about mythology, hidden history in plain sight. And in the second hour, Susan Shumsky talking about the power of the aura. Ooh, maybe it has a pyramid. Anyway, until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. Be blessed.
Join host Dr. Rita Louise each week at this time for Just Energy Radio. Point your browser to